Okay, so welcome everyone to Poetry Sunday. So we are continuing with our haiku workshop. Those of you who've not been here for a while may not be quite caught up on our agenda, what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. After several weeks of reading other people's haiku and kicking them around, exploring them deeply, we've been writing our own. And what I've been having people do, or inviting people to do, is to email me ahead of time their haiku they've written for the week, and then I put them up on the screen anonymously just so people can be more relaxed about it. I mean, you can, if you want to claim the credit or the blame for your haiku, that's fine, you can go ahead. But this way no one has to do that. And we're kicking them around. So that is our agenda for today. And going forward, I think we'll be doing this for some more Sundays. Oh, next Sunday is Father's Day. We will not be meeting. Okay. I will be with my kids and grandkids. I'm sure they'll be giving me a necktie and a pipe, bottle of whiskey, you know, all those man things, all those dad things. So we won't be meeting.
I can't imagine you in the necktie.
Thank you. Thank you. Or with the pipe or the whiskey, believe me. So we won't be meeting next Sunday, but then, you know, we'll continue for some Sundays. So everyone, please, including the people who've not been here for a while, please feel free to feel encouraged to submit your haiku. However, I would ask you to go back if you were not, at least at our first, I've been posting these on my YouTube channel. Go back at least and watch Haiku Workshop #1. Okay, Haiku Workshop #1. I think we're up to, I think this is #3 today or something. Because everyone, when they first writing haiku, there's certain kind of classic mistakes that they make. So we save you hopefully having to make some of those. So you can watch, you know, or any of the other previous ones, but at the very least do watch Haiku Workshop #1. Okay. So so only a few people submitted this week. We had more last week, but so it goes. But, you know, again, I encourage everyone to, it's just more fun. The more the merrier. Okay, so an overgrown cat, a blank stare, a green world outside. An overgrown cat, a blank stare, a green world outside.
Dean?
Yes.
Yeah, you're still leaving out mine from last week.
Yours from last week.
Right, you never got to it. You said we'll get to it this week.
Okay, I'll jump into my email and retrieve it after we talk about this first one. Okay,
okay.
Sorry, Scott.
I know you don't like it, but geez.
No. Yeah. No, I can't remember anything. So a situation like that, your best bet would be to resend it. So it'll be up at the top of my email,
okay.
Because if it's gone down past the first screen, that's the black hole.
Because now I've been outed, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so an overgrown cat, a blank stare, a green world outside. Okay, talk to me about this one. Tell me how this is functioning as a haiku. Tell me what you'll remember from the last week or two, I emphasize, very first thing is what is the basic, the literal situation, the literal physical situation before, it's invested with any significance or feeling or anything else, just what's happening. Where are we? When are we? What's going on? So
Well,
let's start with that. Anyone? Yeah, Lisa?
We must be inside
Mm-hmm.
because it says a green world outside in the last line. So I'm
Right.
assuming we're inside.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we seem to be inside the house. Okay. What else?
An indoor cat that is extremely lazy.
The cat is lazy.
Yes.
Why? Why do you
It's
say that?
overgrown.
It's overgrown. What does overgrown mean?
Usually grass is overgrown, but when it comes to cats, maybe they're fat.
Maybe fat. Mm-hmm. What if we said a fat cat? A fat cat.
That's what I first thought, and then I remember that that it might sound too cheeky. Notice because fat cat is so something that wouldn't be where the two words sound alike. I mean, fat cat
Right.
just gets you right away.
Gets you. What do you mean gets you?
Well, a fat cat, and I see a big roly-poly. I would call it a fat cat.
See, in fact, yeah, that's what I would call it. Whereas overgrown, we have to work at it a little bit. The mind has to work, maybe it's a half a second, but we have to decode that. How many syllables? Overgrown, 3 syllables. 3 syllables versus 1 syllable. All things being equal, do we go with the longer word or the shorter word?
Shorter.
All things being equal. Come on, everyone should know the answer to this. All things being equal, do we go with the longer word or the shorter word? We go with the shorter word. Yeah, that's in haiku, and that's generally in writing. Did I mention George Orwell's rules for writing? Okay, look that up. It'll be listed under George Orwell's rules for writing. It might be listed under George Orwell's rules for political writing, but it applies to all writing, and that's one of the things that he says. When you have a choice of a longer word or a shorter word, use the shorter word. And we say all things being equal. Now, all things are not always equal. For instance, someone raised that issue. Oh, fat cat, gee, that rhymes. Is that a little bit too cutesy? Is that a little bit too jingly? So, sometimes there's a trade-off. We have to balance these things off. You know what else is going on? My other problem with that word overgrown? It's a little more vague, a little more abstract than fat. And one other thing, it's judgmental. It's judgmental. Do you see that? You see
I was
that?
gonna say that, and then I thought, well, if I'm calling a cat fat, am I being judgmental too? So that's why I didn't.
Yeah. You could say that. I mean, in polite society, we don't call people fat. That's considered to be judgmental and body shaming and all of that. But we're not
large. I feel like large is free of judgment, and it's still very clearly bigger. Yeah.
That's not clear. That could be just. I got a friend that's got a cat that you have to hold like actually the screen's not big enough. You have to hold it like this. That's large.
Yeah.
I'm going with fat.
Yeah, a
I
fat
like
cat.
I like the boldness of it. I like the cheekiness of it. Okay. But I just want to complete this idea, this thought about overgrown. Can you see how that's a bit judgmental? In other words, that implies there's a standard. It should be grown to this point, but it's grown beyond that. It's expanded beyond the standard of, you know, the aesthetic, the platonic ideal for what a cat's supposed to look like. Whereas fat, I say, hey, I'm fat and deal with it. Yes. Who's talking to me?
Dean, could
Yeah.
it be overgrown referring to something old? Maybe an old cat? I don't know. Or too old? I don't know.
I don't.
No, I don't know.
I don't. I
You don't think so?
would you? Well, I mean, when you say whoever's moving around with your mic, please stop doing that. Thank you. Well, Yehudit, if the word in looking at it, was that your first thought? Oh, overgrown, it's old. Was that your first thought? No. Yeah, we'd really have. Yeah.
Really. I really didn't think at all for a moment, but already people said that it's probably fat and too big.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like think so immediately I had that image in my head.
You know what?
But I'm thinking
Your mic is cutting.
maybe
Your audio.
it's referring to something already old.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Hudit. Your
Something is
cutting
wrong
out.
with my audio. I also don't hear you well. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't hear you well. You come in.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my computer. I know. I'm going to go up. I'm going to shut it off and come back again. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe too much stuff in the air going on here. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and
I'm sorry.
yeah. And I suggest you close your other programs and then restart the computer and don't open the other programs. That may help. Okay. Is everyone else hearing me okay? Okay, good. Yeah. Did anyone see overgrown and think, oh, that means old? Yeah, okay, we can not have to worry about that.
There's something about the immediacy of a fat cat, a blank stare, a green world outside. There's just a bang, bang, bang that there's a gestalt to that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we definitely feel it. We definitely see it. And yeah, all the other words are nice Anglo-Saxon. Actually, overgrown is Anglo-Saxon too. It's just too damn many syllables, and when you can do it with fewer syllables, it has more impact. It feels more concrete. Those of you who were not in the session, again, this is on my YouTube channel. There's a session there where I've got Hemingway's face. It says learning haiku from Hemingway, and I read the opening page or the opening paragraph of A Farewell to Arms, and we talk quite a lot about that, and that shows you pretty much a whole lot of what you need to know about writing haiku or writing, and it's about Anglo-Saxon and impactful, concrete and specific. So here's my question. Where is the observer in this poem? Where's the observer physically located? So we got the idea. There's a cat. Actually, my daughter's house is like this. There's a place where the cat jumps up and looks out the window and watches the birds and the squirrels and so forth. So we've got an idea that the cat is there looking out the window. Where is the human observer, the poet?
I totally see them like on a chair in the living room, just eyeballing that cat post at the window.
So where is the observer in relation to the cat?
Same room.
7 feet away, same room.
Okay, if the cat's nose is pointing at 12 o'clock on the
cat's
clock.
butt. Oh, the cat's butt or the cat's side or something. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, you're beside the cat or you're behind the cat. So how do you see the blank stare? How do you see the blank stare?
Must be in front of the cat.
Yeah, but if you're in the front of the cat, is there a problem with that?
No.
No, but if I'm inside the cat, I could see
Okay,
it.
that's crazy. So you're outside.
No, wait, Lulu, there's a big problem if you're in front of the cat because the cat is looking in the window. If you're in front of it, then you're between the cat and the window. You have to visualize these things. You have to, don't just be caught up in words and thoughts. Haiku gives us one of our big opportunities to go to pictures. Keep going back to a picture. To picture this, to use the visual over here, the right side, the visual side of our brain.
But I could see a cat, actually, I could see a cat at an angle, staring at an angle, not with just his back, but staring, like the cat post doesn't have to be directly in front of the window, but he could be on the post, or I could be in a chair almost beside him, and I could see him staring blankly out the window if I were just even beside him in a chair because the cat post isn't directly in front.
Right. What happens in this last line? What happens for the reader? A green world outside.
For me, the juxtaposition between that blank stare and then a green world. So there's something that is nothing, the blank stare, and then the green world is everything.
Yeah. Yep. And it's expansion. So there's our Kensho in the last line. That's very nice, isn't it? There's the sense of expansiveness, of transcendence. We go from the smallness, the contraction, the contractedness of the cat stare to, oh, this whole possible world. And the person who wrote this, very wisely put that in the third line. They could have said, it could have been in a different order so that we end with the stare. But remember that thing we talked about where Basho and his student, not, what the student wrote, dragonflies tear off their wings, red pepper pods. And he said, no, red pepper pods, give them wings, dragonflies, right? You want the thing to take wing, to transcend, to expand in the third line. Okay. Let me, yeah.
I was going to say you have to find the other poem.
Yeah, I got to find Scott's thing here.
I just re-emailed it to you.
Oh, there we go. Excellent. Very wise.
Question for the English teacher.
Yes, sir.
Is that a correct use of the word redux?
Yeah, redux means again.
Redux?
Yeah, again.
Just again, huh? Okay.
Yeah, again, but it's just fancier. Okay, everyone still seeing the poems? Or I just added one here from someone. We don't know who this is from.
Now, don't hold back, even though you know who I am. I want to hear it all.
Okay, summer sun beats down, elated flowers rise up, strong cool breeze. Summer sun beats down, elated flowers rise up, strong cool breeze.
Lovely, lovely.
Say again, whoever's talking.
It was the energy of the whole thing. It moved me from one area of the sun beating down to a strong, cool breeze.
Yeah.
With the flowers coming up in between. I mean,
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, the energy and the movement are really, really nice, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the picture is very clear. The situation is very clear. So we've got the makings of something very strong here, don't we? Let me ask you about the choice of these three elements, the choice of which element went in the third line, because we have very clearly three things: the sun, the flowers, the breeze. So here the poet put the breeze in the last line, made that the punch line, the Kensho line. Could the flowers have worked in the third line? Yeah, probably. Could the sun?
Yeah.
Probably the sun could have worked. Probably any of them could work. But so yeah, so this is good. This works.
Dean,
Yes.
for me, the when I first, I prefer the flowers in the last line, because summer sun beating down to me implies kind of a hot sun that's going to wilt the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so, but if there's a strong, cool breeze, then that would counter this kind of beats down to me as kind of a force, a hot force. So the
Right.
strong, cool breeze. So the flowers are being lifted, but
Mm-hmm.
only because the breeze is there. So I think I would flip them. And there's something about elated that's a little vague to me.
Okay. Hopefully, those of you who've been doing this for a few weeks right away notice that there is one word in this draft of this poem. It's all drafts, by the way. It's all drafts. That is the most problematic word from the point of view of haiku. And that's elated. Why?
Is it because it's not, it wouldn't be something a flower would?
Exactly. It's not literal. It's not literal. It's figurative. It's it's anthropomorphic. We're ascribing human emotions to inanimate objects that as far as we know don't really have those emotions, right? You can get away with that in some other kinds of writing, but you can't under the searing microscope of the haiku process, where everything is so spare, right? That you can't get away with anything like that. It's really glaring.
I wondered about that with the strong, cool breeze too. Not the what you were describing with this, but was there a need to say that it's strong? For me, the payoff was under this beating sun. The flowers seem to love it, but it's really beating down on me. Oh, the breeze.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question, Scott. I mean, strong and cool, I would say there's no problem there with literal truth. That's literal, and there's nothing the elated is not only figurative, it's sentimental. It's too sugar coated, right? Whereas strong and cool are not. Strong and cool are both words that Hemingway might use. Probably he'd say strong and cold. Right.
However, it's Monterey.
I'm sorry.
Because it's Northern California.
I don't know. But I think you're right that we don't need strong. We don't need for kind of the essence of the situation. All we need is the heat from the sun and the coolness from the breeze. Now, is there anything else here that is?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same. I think beats down is really interesting. I never thought about the sun beating down. Almost seems as comfortable as like what normally beat comes to mind is like human beating up other human. But sun beating down, now that I'm with the haiku eye, it's like, wow, is that is that something the sun does? Does it beat down?
Right. Okay. So that was actually the question I was about to ask, which is there anything else here that's not quite literal? Beating down? I mean, that's an expression we use. That's a figure of speech that, at least it's a figure of speech that, if we coin something, if we come up with something new and fresh that's non-literal, that's figurative, it's going to stick out like elated flowers. If it's something that is a figure of speech that's in, everyday parlance, we might not notice it. We're used to hearing it, but we have to get unused. We have to look at this stuff like, it's brand fresh new. Does the sun literally beat down? Are the flowers literally rising up? I mean, if we do a time lapse film of them over a period of some days or weeks, we'll see them rise up. But remember, there's always the implied observer in the haiku. It's always a snapshot. It's not a movie, it's a snapshot. And in the snapshot of that one moment, do we see them rising up? Do we see them?
So really, it becomes a 3-word haiku: sun, flowers, breeze.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. There's a lot of, when in doubt, I mean, this should always be a part of your process. Try cutting back everything, cutting back as much as you can. And this goes, by the way, for a lot of things. I mean, Kristen, this goes for music. Okay, you've added this embellishment, you've done these changes in the dynamics, blah, blah, blah. What if you strip all of that out? Go back to, it's like in government, they call it zero-based budgeting. Start from minimal and then see what carries its own weight, what earns its salt in the final product as you add the things one at a time.
So when I was writing it,
yeah,
it was the contrast, oh, the sun, this is intense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked at the flowers and I thought, well, they're fine with it. They're like reaching up. They're not. So the elated, I guess, was my way of saying it. But
right. Okay.
My point was the contrast between, oh, this is unpleasant to me, but the flowers, they eat it up.
Yeah, I would say hot sun, cool breeze.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now notice you have an experience. You're clear about your experience, but you're still reaching for words to say. Like you just said, oh, the flowers eat it up. Notice what you did without thinking. You came up with another everyday figure of speech,
Exactly.
which we can't use in haiku.
Right.
Okay. So what in that moment that we're photographing with this haiku, what do you actually experience about the flowers? So I would stick with hot sun. I think it's good to, as I say, try cutting all the way back. To me, cutting back to sun, flowers, breeze is too much. But hot sun, we have days with this sun, there's the sun, but it's not that hot. So hot sun, cool. We need the cool breeze then to cool off the heat of the sun. Hot sun, cool breeze. So what do you actually in that moment witness about the flowers? It's something about the flowers are okay. The flowers remain, the flowers endure. The flowers they're still there. Something. There's a right word. I'm not coming up with it yet, but that's what I would. I mean, I think it's worth looking for that. See if you can solve that.
And even more like breaking it down to, are petals shiny when they're happy? Like, what are the things just about the petals in that very moment? I really like that concept too, because that's what I'm struggling with haiku as well. Like, what is it? It's not even with no previous knowledge about flowers whatsoever. If I were just like a child running through, like, what is it about that flower then that makes me think it's happy? I feel like that's
Yeah, and that's what you just did, Kristen. That's what we need to be
I'm breaking through.
all the time. Exactly. You were bringing in beginner's mind. You're bringing in child mind. Looking how do we know? And this is the way to cut through a lot of stuff that is judgmental. That is, like that overgrown. How do we know it's overgrown? Well, it's fat. Oh, okay. Say that. Right. What does the child see? Does the child go, oh man, this is an overgrown cat?
How about the word vibrant? Would that? I was trying to think of the opposite of wilted, like what would maybe show that the flowers are in a state of naturalness that's okay. So vibrant, I don't know if that's going too far.
It's not a matter of too far. It's too abstract. It's too general. What does vibrant look like?
Subjective. Yeah.
Yeah, it's subjective. Yeah. We get concrete, specific picture. Can I have a picture in my mind of vibrancy? No.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's the
and also and also, you know what? It's a fancy word.
Yeah.
Not a Heming. I guarantee you can read 5 Hemingway novels in a row and you won't find the word vibrant. Okay.
So I originally, once the comment was made to move the flowers line to the end, I saw that. It's like, oh yeah, I see that now. But now when we minimalize it, then I still feel the breeze comes after the flowers because
maybe because you can't know that till you solve what the verb's going to be.
Okay.
So it might be, hot sun, cool breeze, flowers. Again, endure. I don't like that word endure, but something maybe that gives that sense. One other question, and then I want to move on to the others. What kind of flowers are these?
Are you asking the writer or the group?
Yeah, I'm asking you, Scott. Were they poppies? Any? I can't have a picture in my mind of any.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I don't remember what kind they were. So you're saying it would be better to state a type of flower, maybe?
Well, I'm saying it's better to well, you tell me what happens if we do that.
A picture in your
Et voila. Yes, a picture. This is what we're trying to do. And now watch this. This is not necessarily its final form, but let's play with this. Hot sun, cool breeze, still ... the poppies. Hot sun, cool breeze, still ... the poppies. Now, what happens when we say the poppies? You see that, dare I say it, vibrant orange.
Without having to say it. Yep.
Exactly. That's how you get vibrancy, not by saying vibrant, by showing me something that's vibrant.
Right. But then I think that's why I think also maybe strong cool needs to be taken out of breeze, because
maybe. Okay. So Scott, keep working. I got to move on to the others here.
Yep.
Okay. A single last line. Ancient trees reach for sky one last time. A single last line. Ancient trees reach for sky one last time.
I'm not sure what a single last line is.
Yeah. Last line of trees.
Fire?
I'm sorry?
Last line of fire?
Last line of fire? there's nothing there that's making me think of fire. If it's going to be something that that much of another concrete element, you'd have to say fire.
Yeah.
So, but that does make sense perhaps in terms of the situation. If the trees are reaching for the sky one last time, if they're about to be consumed by fire, then that's a very interesting situation. It would be worth working with this, worth making that clear.
Well, Dean,
Yes.
I think we live in the Pacific Northwest where there's a lot of clear cuts. And when I go even to the Olympic Peninsula, or when I even riding someplace for a hike or something, you will see an entire clear cut where you'll see one last line of trees they left, either because they're asked to leave it. And it's usually on the very top of the mountain. And so it's a single last line of trees that haven't been cut yet. But I think it probably is a Northwest poem that you'd have to understand it that way.
Only available for Northwest readers.
Only available for Northwest readers.
Yeah, but wait, don't write off us Southerners too quickly here. Maybe you can help us out. Maybe you can help us see that. There's a phrase that you just used that immediately caught my attention because it's such a cool haiku sounding phrase, and that is clear cut. Clear cut. Listen to that. I mean, you probably hate those words where you live. I mean, what it's referring to is we'd probably agree pretty awful, but I've just heard, again, like Kristen, suggested, bringing the child's mind, hearing those words for the first time, clear cut. There's a beautiful music to that. Okay. So I would suggest finding a way to plug that into the poem, because we all know, even those of us who live in the greater Los Angeles area know what clear cut means. Okay. So I would try putting that in there.
What about, Dean, if you had like another clear cut, ancient trees reach for sky one last time? Would that work?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we still have to, work with the whole thing, but that's starting to work now. That's starting to work. Let's look at some of the other things here.
The line I got was a hilltop line of trees.
Yeah, I think we need this clear-cut idea for the whole dramatic situation to work.
So is it, Barbara, was that yours? Because there's definitely a correlation between the next one and that one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there it is.
Yes, there it is. Yeah.
Nice.
No, I knew that.
Same thing.
Oh my God, what's wrong with this place, Lisa? We got to move to Southern California.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll get there in a minute. Okay. So Barbara, getting back to yours here, is there are there any? Do you see any words or any word for which there is a shorter synonym?
Of course, old for ancient, right?
Yes, old for ancient. So again, you know what? I haven't said this enough. Process. We want to emphasize the process, because I know everyone tends to look for the final product in each moment, right? And you have to think of the final product last. You assume we're going to roll around in the process for a while. We're going to play with stuff, okay? So part of the process should be any word. If there's a shorter synonym, if there's a choice between a longer word and a shorter word, try the shorter word. Okay, so this is going to be instructive for everyone here. Look at ancient trees versus old trees.
Trees could be dead trees.
Okay, now reach is a crazy one, right? So this
Wait,
also
wait,
reminds me of.
wait,
Oh, sorry. You're
wait. No, I haven't gotten the answer from y'all. Ancient versus old. What do you think?
It was a rhetorical.
Huh? I'm sorry?
No, I thought it was a poetic rhetorical question.
No.
Can you ask it again?
Yeah. Ancient, yes. We're in our process here, trying on ancient trees, trying on old trees. What happens if we substitute old? How does that work?
I think of them as slightly less than ancient. So if it were to be really specific, ancient seems to line up with that, but you have no necessary way of telling, I mean, unless the observer is right next to the coils around the trees to know the difference between ancient and old. So that's a hard one.
I wonder though.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Oops, excuse me.
Go ahead.
I wonder if the two words ancient and old. Old denotes to me something that's sick and weak. They're old. Ancient denotes for me a vibrant tree that's been there for a long time. So they're two different concepts.
Interesting.
I was going to say also, Dean, thank you, sister, that when you have an ancient tree, it could be like the redwoods in California. They live a long time. When you have an old tree, we could have an old alder here. That's an old tree, and it has a limited lifespan, and you can see that it's old, and it is really almost ready to come down, but it's not the same thing as some of the clear cuts that have happened where you have, like 3 foot width trees, that are still very alive, but they're ancient, but they're very alive. And so ancient has a different connotation than old, whether that's important or not. I don't know.
Yeah. So what you're saying is pretty much along the lines of what Sister Judy was just saying. I didn't particularly, just for myself, make that distinction. So it may be for that reason that ancient works better here. Aside from that, just as a general principle, to make the point here in general, if not for that distinction, I would go with old because it's shorter. It's Anglo-Saxon, right? Ancient is French, right? Ancien, it's French. Old is Anglo-Saxon. So it's the more gritty, earthy, Hemingway-esque, haiku-esque, or it's less fancy. Ancient sounds a little more poetic, which is why we'd want to steer, all things being equal, we'd want to steer away from it. Sounds a little too poetic.
Could we maybe say old growth trees? Because that's what they're called. It's not an old tree, but the old growth are the ancient trees, and they're often referred to as old growth.
Yeah. Maybe getting a little conceptual then, and then we're kind of bringing in a whole ecological concept. We're starting to get a little bit mental. Yeah, again, you see how, again, in this microscopic view that we bring to bear here in haiku writing, things that we would just pass right by in our writing or in our reading, every little bit sticks out, which is why I'll say it again. It's such a good practice for doing any kind of writing, because then you go back to writing your essays or your novels or your love letters or your job applications, and you just see everything much more clearly. 3 pine trees on the horizon, growing from a clear-cut hillside, their trunks bare, still reach for the sky. Well, great minds do think alike, don't they? 3 pine trees on the horizon grow from a clear-cut hillside, their trunks bare, still reach for the sky. All right. So, 3 pine trees on the horizon grow from a clear-cut hillside, their trunks bare, still reach for the sky. All right. So, 3 pine trees on the horizon grow from a clear-cut hillside, their trunks bare, still reach for the sky. All right. So, 3 pine trees on the horizon grow from a clear-cut hillside, their trunks bare, still reach for the sky. All right. Picture is clear? Picture is clear.
I love numbering the trees. That is so cool, Lisa.
Uh-huh.
3 of them is very, yeah, child's mind. You know, you count the 3 and that's very, very cool.
The 3 bears, the 3 little pigs. Yep. And also it makes the picture clearer, doesn't it? It's more specific. It's more specific. And notice, this is like when I asked Scott before, what kind of flowers. Here we're told what kind of trees, pine trees. So again, that's making the picture more clear.
Do I even need the word trees? 3 pines?
I was just going to say that. 3 pines. 3 pines on the horizon. You feel how much more effective that is just by cutting out one word, one syllable. Now, this second line is crying out to be cut down. This thing goes on forever. Again, in normal prose writing, we'd write a thing like this and it's fine. We wouldn't, but under the microscope of haiku, this thing is like, you know, it's like we've been listening to this for days.
Could I change it, invert it? 3 pines on the, you're so right about rolling it around now that I haven't looked at it in a few days.
Yeah.
3 pines on the,
wait. And that also is, you write something, you play with it, you put it aside, come back a day or 2 later with fresh eyes. Okay, yeah.
So 3 pines on the horizon, trunks bare, common, a clear-cut hillside, reach for the sky. Three pines on the horizon, trunks bare, common, a clear-cut hillside, reach for the sky.
It's still too damn long.
I have a line for you.
It's four lines, and they're still pretty overgrown lines. Yes, Scott.
I have one for you.
Uh-huh.
Either pines above the clear cut, or if you must, 3 pines above the clear cut.
Uh-huh.
Pines above the clear cut. That has a picture to me.
Yeah, I want to keep the 3 though, because the 3 is
3 pines
specific.
above the clear cut. Beyond or above.
Okay, beyond or above? Quick, beyond or above?
Above, that's
Above.
Above, beyond sounds like metaphysics. Beyond is vague, it's abstract. Above
But
is clear, simple. Yeah.
Dean, if you only have 3 pines on the horizon, aren't we assuming there's a clear cut on the hillside? So why would we have to repeat that? Why wouldn't it be like you were saying, Lisa, 3 pines on the horizon, their trunks bare, still reach for the sky?
That's cool. And then we could use your clear cut line for ours.
Well, it's so funny because
We'll move it up here.
I was not sure whether clear cut was too conceptual. And Scott, to your point, what I like about having on the horizon, it places the viewer. If I take on the horizon out, then I don't know where the viewpoint is.
Yeah, it is part of it does add to the picture. It makes the picture much more specific and clear. And Scott, and everyone, keep going to the picture as we consider this stuff. Yeah. Don't, we play with the words, we play with the concepts, but don't land on the words, don't land on the concepts. Use those and keep landing back in the picture. What does it do for the picture? Again, we may need this word clear cut, but here's a possible way to do it. Three last pines on the horizon. And again, we're just playing. I think probably, especially since most readers don't live in the Northwest, I think probably we're going to need that clear cut thing.
Maybe just 3 pines on the horizon, clear-cut hillside.
Yeah, we
Reach for the
definitely
sky.
we definitely don't need the grow stuff because, you know, if trees are there, they're growing. You know, they're there.
Right.
All we need is for them, and we don't really see them grow in the moment. We just see trees. We don't see growth taking place.
And you can take their trunks bare out as well.
Also, we take out articles. You know, are you? I don't think I've said this, and this is unique to haiku. When you use articles, always haiku favors the definite article over the indefinite article. That is, it favors the over a. Now, this is a subtle but powerful thing. Can you see why the is better than a?
Yeah.
Well, what about the first?
Wait. I want to say with this. I'm going to say with this question: versus the. Someone tell me.
The is like right here, right now. This picture.
Exactly. Exactly. Right here, right now. This picture. We're here. Whereas if we say it sounds hypothetical. It sounds like of all the possible trees in the world, yeah, one of them, a tree. Whereas the hillside or whatever the hell it is, it's like, okay, we're here now, this situation, this picture, this object, which is already, when we say the, it implies that you're already seeing it. It's already in front of you. It's a little shell game we play on the reader. Yeah, you know which tree I'm talking about, or which hillside I'm talking about, the hillside.
So would that apply to the first of these haikus? The fat cat?
A fat cat?
Yeah, well, let's try it. By the way, we can also generally get rid of capital letters in haiku. Can you see, if we get rid of capital letters, it looks more stripped down, more muted, more understated, more zen, more haiku. The fat cat, or fat cat, no article at all. Should always consider that. Fat cat, blank stare. A green. I'm just playing here, but here's another thought. Outside the green world. Right? Then we end with the most expansive word in the thing, world. Okay.
Can I ask one more question about that reach?
Yeah.
Because we have it in both of ours. So it's
just about to say that. Yeah, go ahead.
Gosh. I'm actually in your bathroom right now, and I'm just like, I have the reaching. So that's really interesting because it does seem like that's more of a possibility for trees to reach than it is for the sun to beat. I know, but it still feels like.
Kristen, is it literal?
Yes.
Is it literally true?
No. Man, do they reach?
It's like, poetic. It's poetic.
I know.
Yeah.
It's poetic. Reaching for, and that word "for," like it's an aspiration.
Yearning for it.
Like, yeah, yearning. This is what is called. You're going to hate this phrase. This phrase sounds worse than it is. This is technically what's called pathetic fallacy. Pathetic, and it's not pathetic in the sense of, oh man, you're so pathetic. Pathetic as in sympathetic or empathetic. So pathetic fallacy is the technical term in literature for when we ascribe human thoughts or human emotions to a non-human object, right? And again, you get away with this 7 days a week, 6 days a week, but you don't get away with it never on Sunday, because that's haiku day. Okay. One more, because we're over time here. Coffee brewing, groggy, I smell my awakening. Coffee brewing, groggy, I smell my awakening.
I love it.
Uh-huh.
The coffee brews.
Why?
Well, then coffee just being, again, any coffee.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. No, you threw me off when you said brews because you made two changes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess brewing is just as present as brews. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
I don't know that I'd change this. I mean, I'm right there with it every
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah. Yeah. The situation's quite clear, isn't it? Is there something here for the senses?
What
Yeah.
about the line splitting in a haiku? Is that something that's done, like groggy comma and then I smell goes with my awakening? Or maybe not.
Well,
maybe it means I smell the coffee.
well, do I literally smell my awakening?
No.
No. What I smell is the coffee, but but I know in the coffee is my awakening.
So groggy I smell would be an acceptable line in a haiku, though. Two different.
It's okay. So this one's mine. And I wrote this one in my head while I was brewing the coffee for this session here. So it's a very good question, and I was very conscious of this, Scott, when I wrote this, that this is a question, because you would not necessarily do this in haiku. In traditional Western poetry, what's called enjambment is the technical term. E-N-G-A-M-B-M-E-N-T, enjambment. When you have the syntax of the one line continuing, where the next line is necessary for the syntax of this line to make sense. The grammar spills over, we could say, into the next line. But I did that deliberately because there's a little joke here. Groggy, I smell. Right. So there's a little subtle joke of, I'm groggy. I was falling asleep out on the patio, which I was, and I can wake up and I'm just kind of groggy and I'm smelly, and right. But then, it gets resolved in the next line. What I smell, and again, I'm taking another risk here. I'm playing here with something that is maybe over the line for haiku. Do I literally smell my awakening? Well, not quite, but I smell in the coffee, I smell my awakening. I mean, kind of the situation, the concept as I was getting it was, here's groggy Dean smelling the prospect of alert Dean.
This brings me to my question.
Yes.
Who's the observer? Is smelly Dean, or is the prospect Dean? Who's the observer? Is it split between two Deans, a smelly one and the observer Dean?
Okay, now the smelly Dean is just a lightly implied undertone here. Okay, it's the groggy Dean, right? Groggy, I smell my awakening. So clear, it's the coffee is still brewing. It hasn't been drunk yet, right? But you're very right that we got to be clear. What moment are we in here? Are we still in the moment of grogginess? Are we in the moment of awakening? We're in the moment of grogginess. It's the groggy Dean smelling really the prospect, the promise of his awakening. But we can't say that because then it becomes too wordy and too wordy, too on the nose, right? So we take a little chance and we condense. Groggy, I smell my awakening.
Dean, how does the observer thing work in this one? Like, who's the observer in these personal ones? Or do you need one?
It's I.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah, it's I. It's the guy brewing the coffee, the guy who's going to be awake soon, the guy who's groggy now. I think you're looking for something more subtle than, it's pretty much in plain view here.
Got it.
Okay.
You don't need a second person. We've
Okay.
already spelled out the person.
Got it.
Okay.
Cool,
that
thanks,
helps,
yeah.
'cause I've
Yeah, it's simple. It's simpler than what you're thinking.
What if
Okay.
you change the, is it possible to change the last word awakening versus wakening? What would that do?
Yeah, well, it's shorter, so we should always try it. But that's, we don't say it that way. We might say waking,
Mm.
which would be shorter still. I liked awakening because also, I was having a little fun with the idea of not just waking out of grogginess, but like enlightenment.
How
That's
about
what I was
waking up?
going for. Yeah, when you say awakening, you're referring to more conscious.
Well, on the literal level of the poem, on the surface physical level, we're just talking about a guy who's who's brewing some coffee, trying to wake up enough to run a poetry session for an hour.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But with the suggestion, as the subtext, the undertone
Undertone
is
of
a little joke about
Right.
the miraculous enlightening powers of cappuccino.
coffee. Got it.
Right, right. But
How about
but hold on. But Lulu, you're right. We should always consider: is there a shorter way to say it? And maybe, maybe waking is better here because it's shorter. And then I think the little joke about enlightenment is still there, but it's subtler now.
Right.
And again, there's not necessarily definitive clear-cut answers to these things, but again, the main thing I want you to get is the process, how we play with this. Now we do this, we gain a little more of that, maybe we lose a little of this. It's always trade-offs. Yeah, Scott, did you want to say something?
I was gonna say waking up, and I was also gonna say that brewing coffee almost don't even need the smell. But anyway, I thought just waking up might, because my feels different to me than just the statement about waking up.
What are you suggesting in terms of rewording this? What do we wind up with?
Just the one change. I mean, I introduced another change, but just waking up. Coffee brewing, groggy. I smell waking up.
I smell.
But that's going back to you saying the I smell without the joke of awakening.
Yeah. And also to me, it's a little less clear. To me, there's a little speed bump for the mind then. It takes us a second. I smell waking up. What? Yeah. Whereas to me, it's worth it to get the clarity. In haiku, in any writing, in normal conversation, sometimes we could say, "Oh, you know what I mean," but we don't do that in writing. The reader should never have to figure out what you meant. The reader, this is a conversation I had so many times with my English students over the years. You're the writer. Your job is to make the reading effortless. Making things clear is your job. It's not the reader's job. Okay, you're getting, I used to ask my students when they're getting ready to turn a paper, and I'd say, ask yourself, put yourself in the reader's shoes. Would you read this paper that you've just written? Would you read it if it was not your job? If you weren't being paid to read it? I have to read it. It's my job. My paycheck depends on it. Would you read this thing if your paycheck did not depend upon it? Right. So part of the job is making things clear. Don't make the reader work. Okay, so we've run over on the time here. So write some haiku. If you haven't seen them, go back, watch those couple of episodes that I suggested on my YouTube channel. Email me your haiku. I'll see you all here in 2 weeks. I'll see some of you in the meditations.
Thanks.
So
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
thank
Yes,
you,
thanks.
and
Thanks.
Thank
may all
you.
sentient
Thank
may
you.
all sentient beings wake up and smell the coffee.
Have a good shower.
You too.